everyone, welcome back to Brooke Numerology. So today I am going to show you how to take the numbers within your date of birth as well as your destiny number and use those as basically a lineup to understand what is happening in your life, the karmas that you came in with, your strengths, weaknesses, potential challenges, and you can do this for both yourself and others. And this is how you can better navigate the material plane. And so this is super simple to do. We're just going to do all the numbers in your date of birth plus your destiny number. I do want to mention this is just a very simplified way of doing the Vedic grid. This is just for people who don't want to take the time to learn where the numbers go within the grid. And so it's just a simple way, because I'm going to be putting up a lot of videos really soon that talk about if you have certain numbers within your grid, then you'll understand what's happening. And so let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to do for this date of birth, we will look at the month of October. That's the 10th month of the year. But because there is no zero within the Vedic grid, right? Zero is the void. It's nothingness. We're not going to put it in your lineup of numbers. So we're just going to put a 1 here. And then we're going to look at the date of birth. That's the 26th of the month. So then we're going to add in a 2 and a 6. Now, whenever you have a double digit for your date of birth, you're always going to add the two numbers together once you get in the initial numbers. So 2 plus 6 is 8. So this person would have an 8 in their lineup slash, pseudo Vedic grid, because that's essentially what this is. It's a pseudo Vedic grid. I do want to mention, so if you're born on the 1st through the 9th, you won't put an additional number in. You would just put that number into the lineup once. And then if you are born on the 10th, the 20th, or the 30th of a month, you'll just put in a 1, a 2, or a 3, right? Because again, the 0 doesn't have a place in the grid. So only add up the digits for your date of birth if they're, a double digit, like the 15th or the 19th. Now, when we go to the year of birth, we're not going to put the century into the lineup. We're just going to use the last two numbers, and that's a 9 and a 4. So we're going to put the 9 and the 4 in. Now, then the last piece is you have to get your destiny number into this lineup. I will link a video in case you don't know how to calculate your destiny number. But essentially what you do is you add up every single number in the date of birth, including the first two numbers of the century. So just remember that when doing the destiny, you do add in the first two numbers of the century. This person's destiny number comes to 5. And so this is going to be the lineup for their date of birth. And then we can, look and understand and see the qualities they have. And the reason that it's important to perhaps eventually learn the Vedic grid if you are interested in numerology is just because then you can see the yogas. So, a 319 is a yoga, the 279, the 1 squared to the 2 is a yoga. But this is just a way when I start talking about, if you have 2 6s, this is what it means. So just know whenever I make a reference to your Vedic grid, just know that this will apply to you because you have all your numbers written out. And again, it was just something that I wanted to create to make sure that you're able to listen to the videos if you don't know how to do a Vedic grid. So for instance, for this person born on this date of birth, if I were to say, so if you have a 1 and an 8, which is the Sun and Saturn, you have something called a defamation yoga. Even if you don't know how to do your Vedic grid, you can say, I have a 1 and an 8 and a 7. I have a defamation yoga. I should understand what's going to happen and, the challenges that can come up and kind of what can be done to mitigate this. Let's just do one more date of birth just to make sure you have it down. And again, I left the Vedic grid here just so you could see what it does look like. And again, I will link a video on how to do that if you're interested. Okay, so let's get this person's lineup. So March, that is going to be the 3rd month of the year. So a 3, we're putting in the 9. And then 2007, remember, we're not going to add in the century. And then we're just going to look at the last two numbers, a 0 and a 7. Remember, the 0 doesn't belong in the number lineup. And then just a 7. These are the numbers for this person born on this day. And then we have to get their destiny number in. All of the numbers added up together down to one condensed number is a 3. So they have a destiny number of 3. And then from there, we can look and understand all of the potentials. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But for instance, if I do put up a video that says, okay, if someone has 2 3s in their Vedic grid, you'll know that this is like a modified version of the Vedic grid, and you can understand when I start talking about different planetary conjunctions or numbers together, and you'll understand what's happening. So they would have 2 3s in their Vedic grid, if you will. I do want to mention that for people that are familiar with Vedic numerology and you know how to calculate the Mahadasha, that is a time period that planets run that we use to make predictions. Yes, you can still use this to make predictions. Now, because what we will essentially do is, let's say you are running a dasha of the sun. That's a 1. We would put that 1 in, because you always put the dasha into the Vedic grid, and thus you'll always put it into the number lineup. And so you can still make the predictions. So you'll see that you have a number 1, so your confidence is going to grow. In conjunction with the 9, you will still have to watch out for being moral. And so yes, just putting that 1 in, we can still see everything that will entail. Again, the reason that the Vedic grid is used is just to more easily be able to see what the conjunctions are and the squares and the oppositions. But I really just wanted to make a really simple way for people that aren't interested in learning where the placements within the Vedic grid go, and they can just see their numbers. And so this was just a really simple way for people that are just kind of interested in wanting to know, well, what does it mean if I have 2 6s or I have 2 5s with a 9? What does that mean? That way they can still follow along and understand what's happening. Or if you forget, where the placement of the numbers goes within the Vedic grid, you're not stressing out to try to go back and remember. This is just your numbers written out. And then when I put up videos that talk about different numbers that are put together and what they do, you'll be able to follow along. If the video is good for you, please subscribe so you don't miss my other upcoming videos where I teach you all about Vedic numerology and how to best navigate your path in this material world. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon, friends. Bye.